since our last meeting, we've continued to work on the Forest Service issue. We've met with representatives from Senator Kane, Senator Warner, and also hosted, we met with them virtually. Here, and then here in this room we met with Congressman Griffith and his staff to discuss those issues regarding specifically Lake Mumon and the amenities there. They all understand the issue. They're appreciative that we brought it to their attention, and they're actually going to work together on our behalf with Congressman Klein, who represents Bath County, in his office to help us address the issue. And I know I've heard from Ms. Gwen Mason in Senator Kane's office and Mr. John Bigger from Congressman Griffith's office that they've already been in communication. They've already started working together to address that. So hopefully I'll have more news to report, but they were very appreciative that we brought it to their attention and that they're going to try to help. We also talked about other issues that we see in the county regarding federally owned, publicly owned lands and the lack of maintenance and the lack of investment that they make in those, and how much it hurts us. How great of an opportunity it is to have those publicly owned lands here, but how much it hurts when they're not maintaining those assets. So good meeting with those folks. Shared with you electronically earlier this month a copy of the Opportunity Zone prospectus that was developed through a grant. We have since shared that in addition to you, Chamber of Commerce, our local economic development organization, our regional economic development organization, state economic development organization, and then Opportunity Virginia, which is a private entity that promotes and structures financing for those federally designated areas. It's been shared with Ms. Becca Richardson in that office as well. So hopefully we'll have some opportunity and incentive for outside investment. From a government perspective, having developed the prospectus, having that available for folks, it really now is in the private sector's hands to make those investments in properties that are located there. We finished up mapping for the Bridging the Gap program, and we'll have that for the next round of work there. What we found through that process, not as dramatic as Giles County, but what we found, 7% of the addresses in the Alleghany Highlands consume over 50% of the reactive services. So 50% of your social services, your comprehensive, your community services, law enforcement, fire rescue, those types of activities are responding to 7% of the homes in the community. So we're going to use that data. It's been mapped and laid out in various forms where that organization, Bridging the Gap, led by Angie Campbell and Diane Garcia, can take that, and hopefully we can go into those areas and target those and go and meet with folks and start talking to them in their own environment and on their own turf, and see what we can do to maybe be as successful as Giles has as they're starting to work on their third community over there. You had in your packet not in your packet, but received after your packet was distributed, a resolution from Nancy Moga for designating March as a cleanup month for the Highlands. There's a proclamation scheduled, and I believe since Ms. Moga had sent that email, Ms. Becky Knuckles in City Hall had coordinated the actual proclamation, so it doesn't require any action on your part. We can handle that, just unless you would like to specifically take action on it. We can handle that just like other proclamations are handled in the community with the joint signing. One thing, as Suzanne and I start crafting budget going into this year, what I would like to do is ask, because of the challenge we have now, we have the schools coming, merger has been approved, we have that going. I would like to ask Mr. Garden and Mr. Griffith to help us craft the budget this year. and be a part of a finance committee that Suzanne and I, once we get a draft in place, we can work with them because of the work they've done over the past 2 years with the school merger. That'll be the biggest thing we have tackling us coming forward, and I know Mr. Garden's leading an effort as a subcommittee for athletic facilities and what are needed and what could be needed from a capital investment to have those prepared for a merged school division to be operational. And then Mr. Griffith served on the finance committee as that document was being developed. So we'll have some work in front of us from a budgetary perspective, even though we receive state dollars, to make sure we have everything in place. So effective July 1, 2022, the new school board can be seated, and then July 1, 2023, the new school board can be operational. So the two members are agreeable to that. I'd appreciate it if you all would help us work on the budget this year. And the last thing I would mention is last Monday we were scheduled to go to Rockbridge to meet with a small group of folks there. If you'll recall that that morning it was rainy and in certain places, and it was icy in others. And we got to the toe of North Mountain and had been past one accident on the interstate, and decided that maybe going over the mountain wasn't the best course of action with the technology that we have available. So we called those folks and asked for a 30-minute delay, and we came back here in this room and met with them virtually via Zoom and had a good conversation with the folks in Rockbridge. I think we'll be able to look at forming some type of partnership with Rockbridge. What that looks like, what that might be, is yet to be determined, but they're interested in working with us, and we're interested in working with them. They face very similar problems that we had. One of the things that I've thought about since our last meeting, and Mr. Griffith made mention of it here that night, is the formation of some type of committee or group of folks to really work on this issue. It's larger than a capacity issue. And part of the conversation has to be around alternatives to incarceration. And we have folks that are incarcerated that are nonviolent, threatening members of society that we should be working to have them out of the facility and not keeping them in the facility. It's not doing them any good, and it's costing you a substantial amount of money annually to house those folks. And 4 years ago, it cost you $100,000 to house prisoners outside of the facility. This year, you're looking at over $500,000 to do that. Very same thing. And we certainly have a overcrowding issue in the jail that we have, but alternatives to incarcerating some of those folks have got to be a part of the solution, and getting those folks out of that jail. So what I would suggest we do is have the sheriff's office locally. We'll still talk and communicate with Rockbridge, work with them on some potential regional solutions, but invite Commonwealth's attorney, sheriff, judge, community services board, representatives from the city of Covington, parole, probation, to the table, and start a board member and a council member as well from the city to really work on this issue and understanding what are some of our alternatives. So if the board is agreeable to that as a local solution for us to start working on it, I will draft a letter tomorrow and inviting those folks to come sit at the table. And I would ask that you all to consider and maybe give me some feedback at your April meeting who would be a representative from the board who would like to be a participant in that conversation. So that's all I have.
I had just one thought to it. What there's such a shortage of manpower right now in Alleghany County, and nothing can help anybody get back on their feet any better than doing a good job, but they know they have, but they can get it. So I would be headed towards some type of work release type program, because there are some of us out there that I'll take the gamble. I'll work with it.
Yeah, that's certainly an option that should be on the table. Thank you.